All right, imagine this. A single out-of-nowhere event that just completely wipes out everything you thought you knew. Markets crash, empires fall, your entire life flips overnight. Nassim Taleb has a name for this. He calls it a black swan. And trust me, after we're done here, you are never going to look at normal the same way again.
So, this question from Nassim Taleb's masterpiece, The Black Swan, really gets to the core of it all, doesn't it? It's about our own blindness. See, we are experts, absolute pros, at counting the pennies. You know, the small, steady, predictable stuff. But we are completely oblivious to the jackpots and the total wipeouts that actually shape our world.
I mean, this is basically our brain's default setting, right? The news, all those expert forecasts, you name it. They all sell us this really comforting story that the world moves in a nice, neat, predictable line. We actually build our entire lives on this foundation, this myth of stability.
But Taleb, who by the way was an options trader who saw this illusion get shattered up close and personal, he argues that this worldview isn't just a little bit wrong, no. He says it's a house of cards just waiting for a very specific type of event that he famously named the Black Swan.
So what is a black swan, really? It's not just some random rare event. It has three specific parts. First, it's a massive outlier. We're talking about things like the rise of the internet or the 2008 financial crash. Second, its impact is absolutely colossal. And here is the real kicker, the third part. Afterwards, we all cook up these neat stories to make it seem like it was predictable all along. That hindsight bias, that's the trap that keeps us blind.
Now, to really get why these events have so much power, Taleb gives us a whole new map of reality. We have to understand that we are not living in just one world. We're living in two very, very different worlds at the same time, and they operate under completely different rules. Okay, on one side, you've got Mediocristan. This is the physical, the predictable world governed by the bell curve, where one single event can't really change the average all that much. But on the other side, you have Extremistan. This is the world of ideas, of wealth, of technology, where one single event changes everything. Think about it this way. A dentist has a fantastic, stable job, but their income is physically capped, right? It's limited by the number of patients they can actually see in a day. They can't treat 10,000 people at once. This is life in Mediocristan. It's safe, it's linear, and it is totally non-scalable. Now contrast that with an author. They do the work one time, they write the book, but they can sell it 1,000,000 times, 100,000,000 times. One person, one single home run hit, can capture almost all of the rewards in the entire field. That is the wild, scalable, winner-take-all nature of Extremistan. And guess what? That's where most of modern life, finance, and culture now lives. So here's the big problem, right? We are living in this high-stakes world of Extremistan, but our brains are still running this ancient software that was built for Mediocristan, and this mismatch creates a massive, massive blind spot. So why on earth can't we see what's coming?
Well, Taleb argues that we are just hardwired with these cognitive biases. He calls them mental cataracts that basically guarantee we're going to be blindsided. And here at Distilled Library, we're going to dissect two of the absolute biggest culprits to keep us stumbling around in the dark. First up, our brains are story addicts. Seriously. After a stock market drops, the news immediately scrambles to find a reason. Oh, the market fell today because of X. But was that the real reason? Or was it just a convenient story they told after the fact? The narrative fallacy is our deep-seated need to fit messy, random reality into a neat cause and effect plot. And in doing so, we fool ourselves into thinking we actually understand what's going on.
This brings us to Taleb's most famous and probably most brutal analogy, the turkey. Imagine you're a turkey. For 1,000 days straight, a friendly human comes and gives you food. Every single day, your data confirms this human is your best friend. Your confidence in their goodwill is, like, statistically unbreakable. And then, the day before Thanksgiving arrives, your entire worldview is catastrophically revised. The turkey's mistake was thinking the past was a reliable map for the future. And that's a mistake we make every single day.
Taleb's point here is so powerful. True knowledge isn't about collecting facts you already know. It's about being profoundly, deeply aware of what you don't know. And that brings us right to our second big mental trap, the problem of silent evidence.
So what is silent evidence? Well, it's all the data you just don't see. We study billionaires to learn about success, right? But we completely ignore the millions of people who tried the exact same things and went totally bankrupt. We see the one startup that changed the world, but we don't see the silent graveyard of the thousands that vanish without a trace. History is written by the winners, and that creates a dangerously warped map of risk and reality.
Okay, I know, this all sounds pretty bleak, doesn't it? If the world is unpredictable and our brains are flawed, are we just doomed to get hit by surprise after surprise? Well, not quite. See, Taleb doesn't just diagnose the problem. He actually offers a strategy for survival.
This right here is the radical shift in mindset. Taleb is basically screaming at us to stop trying to predict the next big thing. He says it's a fool's errand. The truly intelligent move is to stop guessing and start building systems that can handle, or even profit from, the shocks you never ever see coming. The goal isn't to be a psychic, the goal is to be robust.
So how do you actually do that? How do you prepare for something you don't even know is coming? Well, Taleb's most famous practical tool is called the barbell strategy. It's a simple but incredibly powerful way to structure your life, and not just your investments, to thrive in a world of extremes. Just picture a barbell in your mind. You've got the heavy weights on both ends and almost nothing in the middle. Okay, so on one end, you put, say, 90% of your resources into things that are extremely safe, totally protected from catastrophic failure. Think government bonds or a super stable career. Then, with that last 10%, you go wild. You take huge, calculated risks on things with explosive, massive upside. Think venture capital or a crazy creative project. You play it super safe and super aggressive, at the same time completely avoiding that risky, mediocre middle ground.
The key takeaway from us here at Distilled Library today is to start building this toolkit. You've got to stop asking, what are the odds of this happening? And start asking, okay, but what happens to me if this happens? Build buffers, build redundancy, have some extra cash, have more than one skill. Hunt for those amazing opportunities where you can only lose a little, but you could potentially gain a fortune. And above all else, never ever play a game where one bad roll can wipe you completely off the board.
So, we'll leave you with this final, maybe a little uncomfortable thought. Take a really hard look at your own life. What's that one truth you're absolutely sure of? Your job security? Your investment strategy? A key relationship? What if that thing is your 1,000 days of being fed by the farmer? What in your life is your Thanksgiving Day?
So, what's the wildest black swan you've ever lived through? And how are you going to make your life more robust after watching this? Drop it in the comments below, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and please spread the word, because only here at Distilled Library do we weaponize wisdom against the unknown. Stay curious and stay resilient.